I'm so glad you found your way here. Every night, your sleeping mind builds entire worlds, full of people, places, and feelings that vanish the moment your eyes open. Tonight, you'll discover what your brain is really doing when it erases those dreams, and understand why forgetting is not a failure, but a quiet act of care. Welcome to Sleepy Science. Wherever you are right now, perhaps lying still with the last traces of a dream still fading, allow yourself to settle into this gentle darkness. Tonight, we move through 100 relaxing facts about why you forget your dreams. From the chemistry of sleep that dissolves memory at dawn, to the ancient brain structures that decide what stays and what goes, to the soft science of why your mind releases what it no longer needs. These quiet journeys through the sleeping mind create a community of curious, restful souls. A soft subscribe, like, or gentle share helps other sleepless minds find their way here too. One sleepy soul at a time. Settle deeper into your pillows now. Let your shoulders drop, your jaw unclench, your hands open, your breath slow and quiet. Feel that soft heaviness spreading through you, the way a dream dissolves at dawn, drifting slowly towards sleep. Close your eyes. Breathe slowly now. You are floating at the soft, still place where last night's dreams dissolved. Let everything go. We begin. Every night, while your body rests completely still, your brain is extraordinarily active. During the stages of sleep, known as REM, rapid eye movement, your mind constructs vivid, immersive experiences. Entire conversations, familiar faces, impossible landscapes, and emotions so real they carry weight into the morning. Yet within minutes of waking, most of those experiences are gone. This is one of the most consistent and curious features of human sleep. Not that we dream, but that we so reliably forget. Scientists have been asking why for well over a century, and what they've found tells us something quiet and profound about how memory works during the night. The word dream comes from an Old English root meaning joy, music, and noise, a nod to how vivid and full of feeling these nightly experiences seemed to ancient people. For most of human history, dreams were treated as messages, prophecies, or visitations from the unseen world. It was only in the 20th century that science began to examine them differently, not as windows to the divine, but as products of a brain doing its most private work. That shift in understanding opened a door to new questions. If dreams are generated by the brain, why does the same brain seem so determined to erase them? Your brain cycles through several stages of sleep across the night, roughly every 90 minutes. These cycles include light sleep, deep slow wave sleep, and REM sleep, the stage most closely associated with vivid dreaming. In a typical 8-hour night, you will pass through 4 to 6 of these complete cycles. Most of your richest, most emotionally complex dreams occur in the REM periods that fall in the second half of the night. When REM stages grow longer, this means that the dreams most likely to feel real and significant are also the ones occurring closest to morning and to waking. During REM sleep, your brain becomes highly active in regions associated with emotion, memory, and visual processing. The amygdala, a small, almond-shaped structure deep in the brain, lights up with unusual intensity during dreaming. So does the visual cortex, even though your eyes are closed and no actual light is entering. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic, judgment, and long-term planning, is comparatively quiet during this time. This distinct pattern explains a great deal about the texture of dreams. Vivid, emotional, visually rich, but loose and illogical, because the part of your brain that imposes rational order is largely at rest, allowing the dreaming mind to move freely in the soft dark. The biology of forgetting dreams begins with a specific brain chemical called norepinephrine, also known as noradrenaline. During waking life, this chemical is consistently present in your brain and plays an important role in encoding new memories, helping experiences stick and become retrievable later. During REM sleep, however, norepinephrine levels drop dramatically, almost to zero. Scientists now believe this steep drop is a key reason why REM dreams are so poorly consolidated into long-term memory. Without norepinephrine, the brain's memory formation system is running at a fraction of its normal strength, and most dream content simply doesn't get written to storage. The hippocampus is the brain region most central to forming new memories. It acts as a kind of relay station, receiving information from across the brain and deciding what to preserve and what to let go. During waking hours, the hippocampus is constantly taking in experience and preparing it for long-term storage. During REM sleep, though, the hippocampus operates differently. Rather than filing new experiences, it appears to be busy replaying and consolidating memories from the day that just passed, freeing itself from the task of recording the dream itself. The dream plays out, but no one is taking notes. Acetylcholine is another brain chemical that plays a crucial role in dreaming. During REM sleep, acetylcholine levels rise sharply, contributing to the vivid, activated quality of the dreaming brain. This neurochemical helps drive the intense visual and emotional experiences of REM. But acetylcholine, while it supports the experience of the dream, does not appear to support the encoding of dream memories in the same way that waking memory consolidation works. So the dream may feel vivid and real while you are inside it, yet leave almost no trace once you wake, because the very chemistry creating it also prevents it from being remembered. There is a transitional moment between sleep and waking, sometimes called hypnopompia, during which the brain briefly holds the texture of the dream before it fades. Many people report that in the first few seconds after waking, they can still sense the emotional weight of a dream, even if the images are already dissolving. This window is narrow. Within the first 5 minutes of waking, most people lose 50% of their dream recall. Within 10 minutes, 90% is gone. The biology of this rapid forgetting is not accidental. It reflects something the brain is actively doing as it transitions back toward waking consciousness. The transition from sleep to waking involves a dramatic neurochemical shift. As norepinephrine and serotonin levels begin rising again, the brain moves from the loose, associative, emotional mode of REM sleep toward the more structured, goal-oriented mode of wakefulness. This shift is what allows you to function, orient yourself, and begin a new day. But it also, as a side effect, sweeps away most of the dream content that existed in the softer neurochemical conditions of sleep. Remembering your dreams requires either waking during or immediately after REM sleep. Before that chemical transition fully completes, before the waking mind has closed the door on everything the sleeping mind made. Research suggests that people who wake up naturally, without an alarm, tend to recall more of their dreams than people woken abruptly by sound or light. An alarm creates an immediate arousal response, flooding the brain with norepinephrine quickly and cutting off the transitional window in which dream memory might otherwise linger. This is one of the most practical insights to come from dream research. The gentler and more gradual your waking, the more likely you are to carry something of the night's dreaming into the morning. The brain needs a few quiet moments at the border of sleep and waking to hold on to what it made. Some researchers describe the forgetting of dreams as a form of active memory suppression rather than simple passive decay. The brain does not merely fail to record dreams, it may actively clear them as part of the transition to wakefulness. This idea connects to theories of sleep function that suggest the brain uses certain sleep stages to literally remove memories that are not needed, weakening unnecessary neural connections, clearing out low-priority emotional residue, and making room for new learning. On this view, forgetting your dream is not a malfunction. It is the system working exactly as it should, pruning what does not need to be kept. The idea that sleep clears unnecessary information connects to the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, developed by sleep researchers Giulio Tononi and Chiara Cirelli. According to this theory, learning and experience throughout the day progressively strengthen the connections between neurons. During sleep, particularly slow-wave sleep, the brain systematically weakens these connections back toward a baseline, preventing the neural network from becoming saturated. Dreams may be a byproduct of this process, fragments of experience that surface briefly as connections are reviewed and loosened, but that are not worth keeping and are therefore not stored. The dream is, in a sense, the noise of pruning, audible only to a sleeping mind. Not all memories formed during sleep are lost. Procedural memories, the kind that encode how to do things, like riding a bicycle or playing a chord on a guitar, are actively consolidated during sleep. Emotional memories may also be processed and sometimes strengthened overnight. Episodic memory, the kind that records events and experiences, like what happened during the dream, is the type most vulnerable to sleep-based forgetting. The brain appears to distinguish between these types even during sleep, selectively preserving some forms of memory and allowing others to dissolve. Dream content, being a kind of episodic experience, falls into the least protected category. People who keep a dream journal and write immediately upon waking, before speaking, looking at their phone, or even sitting up, often report dramatically improved dream recall over time. This practice works by exploiting the narrow hypnopompic window before the waking neurochemical shift fully erases the dream. The act of writing forces the brain to retrieve and articulate the dream content before it fades, and repeated retrieval appears to gradually strengthen the dream memory pathways. Over weeks of consistent practice, some people find they begin to hold on to dreams more naturally. even without the journal. The brain learns to save what it is asked to revisit. In studies examining brain activity during REM sleep and during dream recall after waking, the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex show very different activation patterns. During dream recall, these regions become active together in a way that mirrors what happens when any autobiographical memory is retrieved. People who recall more dreams consistently show stronger connectivity between their hippocampus and the medial prefrontal cortex, the region involved in self-referential memory. This suggests that the difference between high and low dream recallers may be partly structural. Some brains are simply better wired to engage the memory network at the moment of waking, and to capture the dream before it disappears. There is significant individual variation in dream recall. Some people report remembering vivid dreams almost every morning. Others say they almost never remember dreaming at all. Yet brain monitoring confirms they are entering REM sleep and showing all the neural markers of active dreaming. The difference lies not in whether dreaming occurs, but in whether the brain successfully bridges the dream content into waking memory. Research suggests that people who recall more dreams tend to wake more briefly during the night, perhaps during or just after REM periods, giving the waking brain a small window to capture what was just experienced before returning to sleep. The temporal lobe of the brain, particularly a region called the temporoparietal junction, plays an interesting role in dream recall. This area is involved in self-awareness, attention, and the processing of information about the self in relation to the world. Studies using neuroimaging have found that people with higher activity in this region during waking tend to be higher dream recallers. One interpretation is that self-referential attention, the tendency to turn awareness toward internal experience, helps bridge dream content into waking memory. People who naturally orient toward their inner life may be more likely to notice and capture the fading dream at the moment of waking. Lucid dreaming, the experience of being aware that you are dreaming while still inside the dream, provides a fascinating window into dream memory. Lucid dreamers show unusual patterns of brain activity during REM sleep, including elevated activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region that is normally quieter during dreaming. This suggests that lucid dreamers have, in a sense, brought some waking awareness into the dream state. Interestingly, lucid dreamers tend to recall their dreams more reliably than non-lucid dreamers. The presence of some degree of waking consciousness within the dream may make it easier for the memory to transfer across the sleep-wake boundary. Sleep disorders that fragment REM sleep, such as sleep apnea, REM, sleep behavior disorder, or certain insomnia patterns, often cause people to remember more dreams than they otherwise would. This seems counterintuitive, but it aligns with what we know about the biology of dream recall. Frequent awakenings during or just after REM create more opportunities for the waking brain to catch dream content before it fades. People with sleep apnea sometimes report unusually vivid or disturbing dream memories, not because they are dreaming more than others, but because they are waking more often within their REM periods, repeatedly crossing the threshold that allows recall. Certain medications strongly suppress REM sleep and dream recall. Antidepressants in the SSRI and SNRI classes, among the most widely prescribed drugs in the world, reduce REM sleep intensity and significantly decrease dream recall in many users. Beta blockers, used to treat high blood pressure and anxiety, can also suppress dreaming. Conversely, other medications can markedly increase dream vividness and recall, including certain blood pressure drugs like prazosin and some Parkinson's medications. This pharmacological sensitivity reveals how finely tuned the dream memory system is to its chemical environment, and how easily it can be shifted in either direction by changes in brain chemistry. Age changes the landscape of dreaming and dream recall. Young children spend a greater proportion of their sleep in REM, sometimes as much as 50%, compared to adults, for whom REM typically makes up about 20 to 25% of total sleep. Infants may spend even more time in states resembling REM. Yet the ability to recall and verbally report dreams develops only as language and self-awareness mature. Elderly adults often show reduced REM sleep duration and sometimes report less frequent dream recall, though they may recall emotionally significant dreams more readily than emotionally neutral ones. The dreaming brain changes with us across a lifetime. The content of dreams and the ease of recalling them appear to shift across the night in a meaningful pattern. Dreams, in the early part of the night, when REM periods are short and less intense, tend to be more fragmented and harder to recall. Dreams in the later part of the night, when REM periods lengthen and deepen, often lasting 30 minutes or more, tend to be more vivid, emotionally rich, and more likely to be remembered, at least briefly. This is why people who sleep less than 7 hours often feel they are dreaming less. They may be cutting off the longest, richest REM periods, which fall in the final 90 minutes before natural waking. Emotional intensity in a dream significantly increases the likelihood that some trace of it will be remembered. Dreams involving strong fear, grief, joy, or conflict are more likely to linger into waking than calm, mundane dream experiences. This pattern makes biological sense. The amygdala, which processes emotional significance, remains highly active during REM sleep and may help flag certain dream content as important enough to carry forward. The emotional residue of a dream, that lingering feeling of unease, warmth, or loss after waking, is often the last thing to fade, outlasting the specific images and events by minutes or sometimes hours. There is a theory, proposed by neuroscientist Penelope Lewis and others, that suggests dreams may serve a function in emotional regulation. According to this view, REM sleep allows the brain to reactivate emotionally significant memories from waking life in a neurochemical environment low in stress hormones, allowing the emotional sting of difficult experiences to be processed without the arousal that would accompany reliving them while awake. While compelling, this remains one of several competing theories and is not yet established consensus. If it holds, then dream forgetting may be the intended outcome. The emotional processing happens during the dream, and the recalibrated emotional state carries forward into the next day. A growing body of research connects dream recall not just to individual brain wiring, but to something researchers call the default mode network, a set of interconnected brain regions that become active when the mind is not focused on an external task. This network is associated with mind wandering, imagination, and autobiographical memory. Recent studies suggest that people with stronger default mode network activity tend to be more creative, more given to daydreaming, and more likely to remember their dreams. The same mental architecture that supports rich inner life during waking may also be what allows the sleeping mind to build and hold on to the stories it tells itself each night. The mind's stories so far have been soft, and more are waiting just ahead. Perhaps this gentle space brings you comfort. A quiet subscribe helps another tired mind find it too. Now, breathe with us, one sleepy soul at a time. Let's pause here and notice your body. Every cell in your body knows how to sleep. This state has been repeated millions of times before you were born. In every ancestor who lay down in the dark and let consciousness soften, you are doing the oldest thing a human body knows how to do. Your dreaming mind is not broken because it forgets. It is simply following an ancient pattern, building, exploring, then gently dissolving, the same way the tide builds a wave and then calls it home. Now we continue. The relationship between sleep quality and dream recall is not as simple as more sleep meaning more dreams remembered. What matters more is sleep architecture, the pattern and proportion of sleep stages across the night. Someone who sleeps 8 hours but with frequently interrupted REM will recall fewer dreams than someone who sleeps 7 hours of uninterrupted, well-structured sleep. Stress, alcohol, and late-night screen use all alter sleep architecture in ways that specifically suppress or fragment REM sleep, which is why people often feel less rested and remember fewer dreams in periods of high stress, even when total sleep time appears normal. Alcohol is one of the most powerful suppressors of REM sleep known to science. Even moderate drinking in the hours before bed significantly reduces REM duration and intensity in the first half of the night. As the body metabolizes the alcohol in the second half of the night, a REM rebound can occur, with unusually intense or disturbing dreams in the early morning hours. This rebound is one reason why heavy drinkers who stop drinking sometimes experience vivid, sometimes frightening dreams in the first weeks of sobriety. The brain is catching up on suppressed REM, and the dreaming that was held back floods back in. The brain's hunger for REM is persistent and eventually insistent. Cannabis also suppresses REM sleep, a fact that has drawn significant scientific interest given the widespread use of cannabis for sleep. Regular cannabis users often report that they dream less or not at all during periods of use. When they stop using cannabis, many experience a powerful REM rebound, with extremely vivid dreams that can feel overwhelming. The temporary loss of dreaming during cannabis use and its dramatic return during abstinence offers a natural experiment in what REM sleep suppression feels like, and suggests that the brain treats REM sleep as a strong biological priority, not an optional feature. The glymphatic system, a network of channels surrounding the brain's blood vessels that flushes out metabolic waste products during sleep, becomes highly active during deep, slow-wave sleep. While not directly linked to dream forgetting, the glymphatic system's work during sleep offers context for understanding why the brain changes so dramatically during rest. Substances that accumulate during waking, including beta-amyloid proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease, are cleared during sleep. The brain that is too busy, too restless, or too chemically disrupted to sleep properly, may not complete this nightly cleaning. It is worth noting that this system's role in sleep is still being actively studied, and some details remain subject to ongoing research. Napping affects dream recall differently depending on when it occurs and how long it lasts. A short nap of 20 to 30 minutes typically stays in light NREM sleep and involves little dreaming. A longer nap of 60 to 90 minutes may include deep, slow-wave sleep and brief, fragmented dreams. A nap of 90 minutes or more has a greater chance of including a full REM period. People who nap in the mid-afternoon, when the circadian rhythm creates a natural alertness dip, often report the most vivid nap dreams, and sometimes more recall than from nighttime sleep, because they wake naturally at the cycle's end. The quality of dream recall appears to be connected to how a person is oriented at the moment of waking. Lying still, eyes closed, in the same position as during the dream, and directing attention inward, rather than immediately checking the time, reaching for a phone, or thinking about the day, appears to give the brain a better chance of retrieving dream content. Movement and sensory input from the environment quickly redirect neural resources toward processing the present moment, leaving the internally generated content of the dream without a retrieval pathway. The practical implication is quiet. The dream remembers itself most readily to a mind that is still willing to be nowhere. In polysomnography, the full monitoring of brain activity, eye movements, muscle tone, and breathing during sleep, REM sleep is unmistakably identified by the combination of rapid eye movements, muscle atonia, and a brainwave pattern that closely resembles waking EEG. This resemblance is so striking that REM was originally called paradoxical sleep by researchers who could not understand why the sleeping brain looked so awake. The paradox deepens when you consider dream recall. The most awake-looking sleep state is also the one whose contents are most reliably forgotten. The brain is highly active, but not, it seems, in the direction of making memories that will persist. Some of the most vivid and emotionally significant dream reports in the research literature come from people who are woken directly from REM sleep by researchers in a sleep laboratory. When woken at exactly the right moment, in the middle of active REM, subjects report rich, detailed, narrative dreams with high emotional content. The same people, woken instead from slow-wave sleep or light NREM, report very different experiences. More thought-like, less visual, more concerned with practical problem-solving, and much easier to forget. The distinction between dream content across sleep stages has led researchers to theorize that REM and NREM generate different kinds of mental experience for different purposes. The question of why we dream at all remains one of the most genuinely open in neuroscience. Several competing theories have accumulated substantial evidence, without any single one emerging as definitively correct. The emotional processing theory, the memory consolidation theory, the threat simulation theory, and the default mode network theory all account for some aspects of dreaming, but leave others unexplained. What most researchers now agree on is that dreams are not random noise. They are structured, emotionally meaningful, and clearly connected to waking experience. The brain does not generate them carelessly, whatever their purpose. They are not accidental. the threat simulation theory of dreaming, developed by Finnish researcher Antti Revonsuo, proposes that dreaming evolved as a practice arena for threatening situations. According to this hypothesis, influential but not yet established consensus, the sleeping brain rehearses threat responses in a safe internal environment, strengthening neural pathways used for threat detection. This would explain why so many common dream themes across cultures involve being chased, falling, or facing danger. If the theory is correct, forgetting the dream makes sense. The rehearsal is what matters, not the memory of the rehearsal. The skill may transfer. The scenario does not need to be retained. Cross-cultural studies of dream content find remarkable consistency in certain themes regardless of geography, culture, age, or historical period. Being chased, falling, flying, losing teeth, being unprepared for an exam, and appearing naked in public are reported as common dream experiences across widely different cultures. This universality suggests that some dream content is not generated by individual experience, but by shared neural architecture. The same fundamental brain structures generating similar themes in similar circumstances. The consistency also suggests that whatever function dreaming serves, it is ancient and deep, predating the cultural differences that otherwise distinguish human experience so sharply. Dream content is strongly influenced by waking experience in a pattern researchers call the day residue effect. Events, conversations, emotions, and concerns from the day, particularly those that were left unresolved or were emotionally charged, have a significantly elevated probability of appearing in the night's dreams. This effect tends to peak around 1 to 2 days after the original experience, then fade. There also appears to be a longer lag dream residue effect at approximately 1 week, where earlier experiences resurface in a new form. The brain does not simply replay the day. It revisits, recombines, and transforms its raw material in ways that are only partially predictable. The consolidation of emotional memories during sleep appears to work differently than the consolidation of neutral memories. Emotionally significant experiences tend to be strengthened during sleep, but in a selective way. The factual, narrative details of a difficult experience may fade, while the emotional tone and the core meaning of what happened are preserved and sometimes amplified. Researchers have described this as the brain separating the emotional gist from the contextual detail, keeping what is useful for future learning and discarding the specific episodic wrapper. If dreaming participates in this process, then dream forgetting may reflect the brain successfully completing its work. The meaning has been extracted, and the dream itself is no longer needed. Some researchers have proposed that certain kinds of creative insight emerge specifically from the dreaming brain's tendency to form unexpected associations. Because the sleeping brain is low in norepinephrine and operating without the logical gatekeeping of the prefrontal cortex, it combines ideas, memories, and images in ways that waking cognition would screen out. Several famous creative breakthroughs are attributed to dream states or hypnagogic experiences. The story of Auguste Kekulé discovering the benzene ring structure through a dream is widely cited, though historians note it may be partly apocryphal. Whether legend or fact, these accounts point to something real. The dreaming brain makes connections the waking brain will not allow. recent research has examined the phenomenon of prospective memory in dreams, the dreaming of future events or plans rather than past experiences. People who have important events coming up, a presentation, a trip, a medical appointment, sometimes report dreaming about those events in advance. These prospective dreams may reflect the brain rehearsing anticipated scenarios, stress testing possibilities, and preparing emotional and behavioral responses. Like threat simulation dreams, prospective dreams appear to serve a preparatory function, and like most dreams, they are usually forgotten by morning. But the preparation they facilitated, the internal rehearsal, may persist in the form of reduced anxiety or improved performance. You're still here, still listening, still somewhere between thinking and resting. Take one slow breath. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do tonight. We'll keep going together, gently. The practice of dream incubation, intentionally directing one's dreams toward a specific question or subject, has a history spanning thousands of years. Ancient Greeks traveled to the sanctuaries of Asclepius, the god of medicine, to sleep in sacred spaces and receive healing dreams. Indigenous cultures around the world developed rituals for requesting guidance through sleep. Modern sleep researchers have found that thinking about a specific topic or problem immediately before sleep can measurably increase the likelihood of that topic appearing in dreams. The brain takes its final waking concerns with it into sleep, weaving them into whatever it builds in the night. Hypnagogic hallucinations, the vivid sensory experiences that occur in the transitional state between waking and sleep, are not technically dreams, but share some of their character. They can include hearing sounds or voices, seeing geometric patterns or faces, and feeling sensations of movement or falling. Unlike full REM dreams, hypnagogic experiences occur as the brain transitions into sleep, and they are often remembered precisely because they happen so close to full wakefulness. Many people find hypnagogic experiences disorienting. Researchers find them useful windows into how the dreaming brain gradually takes hold as consciousness softens. The direction of eye movements during REM sleep, the rapid, jerking movements that give the stage its name, has been a subject of debate for decades. Early researchers proposed that the eye movements reflected the dreamer literally watching the visual content of the dream, scanning scenes as if they were real. Later research complicated this picture. The eye movements do not always correspond directly to dream content in the expected way. Current thinking suggests the eye movements are generated by the brainstem as part of the general activation of REM sleep, rather than being driven by visual dream imagery. The eyes move not because the brain is watching, but because the sleeping brainstem is firing. Animals show clear signs of REM sleep across a wide range of species. Dogs and cats show the characteristic brainwave patterns and muscle twitches of REM sleep. Birds experience brief REM phases. Even some reptiles and fish show sleep states that may share features with mammalian REM. The widespread presence of REM sleep across the animal kingdom suggests that whatever function it serves, it is evolutionarily ancient and deeply preserved, conserved across hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Whether other animals experience something we would recognize as dreaming is unknown, but their brains clearly do something during sleep that resembles what ours do. Infants and very young children show signs of activity during sleep. Facial movements, vocalizations, limb twitches, and rapid eye movements that parallel the REM activity seen in dreaming adults. Whether infants dream in any meaningful sense remains an open question. One influential hypothesis, proposed by Rothwag and colleagues, suggests the high proportion of REM sleep in infants serves not to generate dreams, but to drive the neural development of sensory and motor systems, the brain building itself through activation. This hypothesis remains debated and unproven. The dreaming that comes later may emerge from machinery that was first built for something else entirely. People who are born blind dream differently than sighted people, but do dream. Those who have been blind from birth do not report visual imagery in their dreams. Their dream experiences tend to be built from sound, touch, smell, and emotion. People who lose their sight later in life often continue to have visual dreams for years, and the visual content gradually fades over time as the visual brain is repurposed. This pattern reveals something important about how dream content is assembled. It is drawn from the sensory language the brain actually uses. There is no default visual dream engine. The brain builds dreams from whatever materials it has available. The connection between REM sleep and emotional memory extends to how we process interpersonal and social experiences. Studies have found that people who are allowed to sleep normally after a socially difficult day show reduced amygdala reactivity to social threat the following day. Their emotional response to similar situations is calmed. People kept awake through the night show no such reduction. The implication is that REM sleep processes not only individual emotional memories, but the social and relational emotional residue of the day. The bruised pride, the misread interaction, the lingering uncertainty after a difficult conversation. Sleep does not make these things disappear, but it may make them more manageable. Research using targeted memory reactivation, a technique where sounds or smells associated with specific memories are played softly during sleep, has demonstrated that memory consolidation during sleep is not simply passive. The brain can be nudged to prioritize certain memories by reactivating the sensory cues associated with them during slow-wave sleep. In some studies, participants learned paired associations before sleep, then heard the associated cue sounds during sleep. They recalled those specific pairs better the next morning. This suggests the sleeping brain is not merely running a fixed program. It can be directed, at least to some degree, toward what to consolidate and what to release. The timing of when you wake up within the sleep cycle significantly affects not just whether you remember your dreams, but how you feel upon waking. Waking at the end of a complete sleep cycle, particularly at the end of a REM period, tends to produce a gentler, more gradual emergence into consciousness, often with some lingering dream awareness. Waking in the middle of deep, slow-wave sleep typically feels abrupt, disorienting, and produces what researchers call sleep inertia, the heavy, confused feeling that can persist for several minutes. Smart alarm systems and wearable sleep trackers attempt to exploit this by waking users during their lightest sleep phases, reducing inertia and occasionally improving dream recall as a byproduct. Halfway through our journey, something is becoming clear. The question, why does your brain erase your dreams the moment you wake up, is not simply about forgetting. It is about a carefully managed transition between two very different modes of being. The sleeping brain operates under a chemical regime specifically suited to emotional processing, creative association, and maintenance work. The waking brain operates under a different regime, suited for attention, action, and engagement with the world. The forgetting of dreams is not a failure of memory. It is a consequence of crossing from one neurochemical state into another, and a sign that the crossing was successful. Let each breath carry you a little further from the thinking. Every memory you believe most strongly is actually reconstructed each time you recall it. The sleeping brain has been revising and rewriting all night, and tonight is part of that long, quiet draft. The dream that dissolved this morning is not lost. It became something else. The feeling it left behind, the ease that replaced the tension, the quiet it planted in you before you knew it was there. And we continue drifting. The neuroscience of dream forgetting intersects with a broader question. Why do we forget anything? The standard view treats forgetting as a failure of storage or retrieval, a gap in the record. But a growing body of evidence suggests that forgetting is often an active, purposeful process. The brain does not simply store everything and fail to retrieve some of it. It makes decisions about what to keep, and the act of forgetting, removing or weakening neural connections, may be just as important to healthy cognition as the act of remembering. The brain that forgot your dream may have been doing its most important work. Researchers studying the neuroscience of forgetting have identified specific molecular mechanisms that appear to actively erase memories. In animal models, proteins called RAC1 and cofilin have been found to drive the active disassembly of synaptic connections that carry memory traces. When these proteins are blocked, animals forget far less. Whether equivalent mechanisms operate in the human brain remains an active area of investigation. The findings are promising, but not yet confirmed in humans. This line of research suggests that the brain may be not a passive storage system that loses things over time, but an active curator that selectively dismantles what is not needed. Some philosophers and psychologists have argued that dream forgetting is protective, that if we remembered our dreams with the same vividness and continuity with which we remember waking life, the two would become difficult to distinguish. The boundary between what happened and what was dreamed would blur. By clearing the dream record each morning, the brain maintains the integrity of autobiographical memory, the continuous, coherent narrative of waking experience that allows a person to navigate life with a stable sense of who they are and what has actually happened to them. Forgetting dreams is, on this view, a service the sleeping brain performs for the waking self. False memories, memories of events that did not occur, can sometimes be traced to dream content mistakenly classified as real experience. People sometimes wake from a vivid dream with the confident feeling that what they dreamed actually occurred, a conversation that never took place, a decision they believe they made. This phenomenon, called dream reality confusion, is more common in children, in people with certain sleep disorders, and during periods of intense stress or sleep deprivation. It suggests that the boundary between dream and waking experience, while normally reliable, is maintained by an active process that can occasionally slip. The act of telling someone else about your dream appears to help consolidate it into memory, but with an interesting distortion. People who recount their dreams to others tend to remember those dreams more reliably in the long term. But the remembered version often solidifies around what was said aloud, which may differ from the original experience. Language forces a structure onto the dream that the dream itself may not have had. The told dream becomes a story. The original, fluid, pre-linguistic experience may have been something else entirely. What we remember of our dreams may always be, at least partially, a translation of an experience that resisted translation. The default mode network is also associated with the tendency to self-reflect, to imagine future scenarios, and to reconstruct the past. During waking hours, people who score high on measures of introspection and inner-directed attention tend to recall more dreams. They also tend to report higher satisfaction from experiences of mental imagery and internal narrative. The quality of one's inner life, the richness of the imagination, the ease of turning attention inward, appears to be a continuous variable extending from waking into sleep. Those with richer inner lives during the day may simply have a better maintained pathway for holding dream content at the moment of waking. The phenomenon known as the white bear effect, the ironic tendency to think more about something when you try to suppress it, applies, interestingly, to dreams. People who try hard to remember their dreams often find that the effort itself interferes with recall. The act of trying activates the prefrontal cortex and the goal-directed attentional system, which operate differently from the relaxed, inward-directed state that tends to allow dream memory to surface. Experienced dream journalers and meditation practitioners often describe a kind of effortless receptivity as the most effective approach, not reaching for the dream, but simply being still enough that it can return on its own. Sleep researchers have observed that high dream recallers not only remember more dreams, but also show different patterns of brain activity when awake. In particular, high recallers show more frequent brief awakenings during the night, more alpha wave activity during waking, and more activation of the temporoparietal junction during both sleep and waking. The temporoparietal junction is involved in self-awareness and the detection of personally relevant stimuli. High dream recallers may have a nervous system more sensitive to the interior, one that monitors internal states more continuously and is therefore better positioned to catch the fading dream before it is gone. The relationship between stress and dream recall is complex. Short-term stress tends to increase dream intensity and emotional content, and people in stressful periods sometimes report more vivid, disturbing dreams and more recall, possibly because emotional intensity wakes them, or because stress fragments sleep in ways that create more recall opportunities. Chronic, prolonged stress, however, disrupts sleep architecture more severely, reducing REM quality, increasing cortisol, and fragmenting rest in ways that may ultimately suppress recall. The stressed brain that most needs the emotional processing work of dreaming may also be least able to rest deeply enough to complete it. Nightmares represent a case in which the brain's normal management of dream memory breaks down in a specific direction. In nightmares, the emotional content, often fear, becomes intense enough to wake the sleeper, and the dream is remembered with unusual vividness. Post-traumatic nightmares, a core symptom of PTSD, show an even more extreme version, highly specific. Detailed recurrences of traumatic events remembered with painful clarity. Researchers believe that in PTSD, the normal emotional processing function of REM sleep has been disrupted. The trauma is reactivated, but not resolved, night after night. The dream that cannot be forgotten reflects a processing system that cannot complete its work. Imagery rehearsal therapy, a cognitive behavioral treatment for nightmares, asks people to deliberately reimagine and rewrite their nightmares while awake, creating a revised ending or altered narrative, and then to rehearse the new version in their imagination each day. Clinical trials have found this intervention effective at reducing both the frequency and intensity of nightmares. The therapy is notable for what it implies: that the waking mind can intentionally influence the content of the sleeping mind. The boundary between waking narrative and dream narrative is not entirely one way. The brain takes its waking instructions into sleep, at least partially, and builds its dreams accordingly. A dream's emotional trace often outlasts its narrative content significantly. A person may wake with a clear emotional feeling, unease, residual warmth, a sense of loss, long after the specific images and events have faded entirely. This emotional residue appears to be mediated by the amygdala's continued processing after waking, independently of hippocampal narrative reconstruction. The body holds what the mind no longer has access to. This is why dreams can feel significant even when they cannot be recalled. The feeling they generated has already been absorbed into the day, shaping mood, coloring perception, quietly continuing the work the dreaming brain began. The science of one-aeronautics, the deliberate exploration of the dream state, has developed practices aimed at increasing awareness within dreams and improving the ability to carry dream experience across the waking threshold. These include reality testing during waking hours, maintaining consistent sleep and wake times, using mnemonic induction techniques before sleep, and developing a stable intention to notice the dreaming state. While associated primarily with lucid dreaming, these practices also tend to improve dream recall more generally, suggesting that the same attentional skills that allow awareness within a dream also improve the brain's ability to retrieve the dream upon waking. Some researchers have proposed that the neural replay occurring during slow-wave sleep, in which the brain reruns sequences of waking experience to consolidate them, occasionally surfaces as a kind of dreaming. The fragmented, thought-like content reported upon waking from NREM sleep may be a partly conscious glimpse of the brain's memory consolidation work. If correct, some of what we think of as forgetting dreams may actually be forgetting the consolidation process itself, losing the glimpse as waking consciousness takes over. The brain that forgets the dream may be revealing, in the forgetting, exactly what it was doing. We now understand the question is larger than it first appeared. Why you forget your dream is not just about memory, chemistry, or sleep. It is a question about what the sleeping brain is actually for. The evidence points to a brain engaged in emotional regulation, memory curation, synaptic maintenance, and creative recombination, doing work important precisely because it is inaccessible to the waking, goal-directed mind. The forgetting is the signature of the work having been done. The clean, unencumbered feeling of a good morning may be the closest thing to a receipt the sleeping brain ever issues. The question of whether non-human primates dream has been studied with increasing sophistication. Great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans show clear REM sleep patterns with brain activity closely resembling human REM. While they cannot report subjective experience, observations of their sleep behavior, facial expressions, vocalizations, limb movements suggest something comparable to human dreaming. Some researchers have noted that great apes occasionally show facial expressions during sleep that appear to mirror emotional states, suggesting the emotional processing function of REM sleep may extend to our closest relatives in some recognizable form, though direct evidence for this remains limited. The role of the brainstem in initiating REM sleep reveals how fundamental this state truly is. REM is not generated by higher cortical regions involved in thought and planning. It is driven by ancient structures in the brainstem, including the pons, which activate REM regardless of what the cortex is doing. This means dreaming, at its biological core, does not depend on the evolved, distinctly human parts of the brain. The mechanism that initiates the dreaming state is as old as the brain itself. The stories that fill it may be uniquely human, but the darkness that holds them is ancient. Research on memory consolidation has identified a process called sharp wave ripples. Brief, intense bursts of synchronized neural activity in the hippocampus during slow-wave sleep. These ripples appear to be a key mechanism through which the hippocampus transfers memories to the cortex for long-term storage. They occur in coordination with slower cortical oscillations, called sleep spindles. This precisely orchestrated transfer happens entirely outside conscious awareness. The memories that survive this nightly process are the ones you can access tomorrow. The ones that do not make it through, including almost all of your dreams, dissolve not in failure, but in the ordinary progress of the night. People with damage to the hippocampus show distinctive patterns of dream recall disruption. Some patients with hippocampal lesions report that their dreaming becomes impoverished, less detailed, less spatially rich, less narrative. Interestingly, the emotional quality of dreams may be partially preserved even when narrative detail is lost, suggesting that the emotional processing component of dreaming can persist with a compromised hippocampus, while the episodic, story-like component depends more directly on hippocampal function. These neurological cases offer a natural experiment in what happens when the memory infrastructure of dreaming is selectively damaged. And what of the dream, if anything, can survive that damage? The experience of déjà vu, the uncanny feeling of having experienced something before when you are certain you haven't, has been tentatively linked by some researchers to incomplete dream forgetting. Certain dream experiences may leave traces too faint to be explicitly remembered, but strong enough to create a sense of familiarity when a similar waking experience is encountered. The familiar street, the person whose face seems known, may sometimes be the ghost of a forgotten dream, recognized not as memory, but as shadow. This theory is speculative, but it suggests that dreams may quietly influence waking experience even when they cannot be consciously recalled. The biological need for REM sleep is so strong that if REM is selectively suppressed across multiple nights, as can be done in a laboratory by waking subjects each time they enter REM, the pressure for REM increases with each successive night. When finally allowed to sleep uninterrupted, subjects show a dramatic REM rebound, far more REM than normal, with vivid dreaming. This suggests the brain monitors its own sleep architecture and actively compensates for deficits. The sleeping brain has a set point for how much REM it needs, and it will not let the debt go unpaid. Whatever REM does, the brain treats it as non-negotiable. The activation synthesis model of dreaming, proposed by Hobson and Macaulay in the late 1970s, suggested that dreams were the brain's attempt to make sense of random neural signals generated during REM sleep. On this model, the dreaming brain was making up stories to explain internal noise. And forgetting dreams was simply forgetting confabulation. This model was influential, but has been substantially revised. Dreams are now understood to be far more structured, emotionally meaningful, and continuous with waking experience than random noise would predict. The brain does not dream randomly. It dreams purposefully, though the full purpose is still being mapped. A small proportion of the population, perhaps 1 to 3%, reports a complete absence of visual imagery, both during waking and dreaming. This condition, called aphantasia, involves an inability to generate mental pictures voluntarily. People with aphantasia typically report that their dreams are non-visual or abstract experiences of emotion, narrative, and sensation without imagery. This variation reveals that the visual quality of dreams depends on each individual brain's particular architecture. The brain builds its dreams from what it has. A mind that does not picture things while awake will not picture them while asleep. Research on creativity and dream content has found that the loose associative processing of REM sleep can sometimes produce solutions that waking thought could not reach. In one study, subjects given a math problem with a hidden shortcut were significantly more likely to discover it if they slept between learning sessions than if they stayed awake. The sleeping brain reorganizes knowledge in ways that reveal connections invisible to effortful cognition. The dream in which those connections were made may have been forgotten, but the insight remained. The dream did its work. The forgetting did not undo what the night had already given. The question asked at the beginning of this journey has its answer now. Why does your brain erase your dreams the moment you wake up? Because they were never meant to be remembered. They were meant to be lived through. Emotionally, neurally, physiologically, in the conditions that sleep provides. The processing, the integration, the pruning, the creative recombination, all of this happens in the dream, and its results transfer into waking life without needing the dream itself to be retained. The brain doesn't fail when it forgets your dreams. It is doing exactly what sleep was designed to do. You might be feeling tired now. That's perfectly fine. Sleep doesn't come when you try to sleep. It comes when you stop trying. This is exactly that moment. The thinking can rest now. The remembering can rest now. The questions, they have been held long enough. They can soften and dissolve. The same way a dream dissolves, not disappearing, but becoming part of something quieter and larger. Let go. We're almost there now. Your sleeping brain built something tonight. Even now, as you rest, it is building, weaving together what the day left behind, the half-finished thought, the feeling without a name, the image that lingered at the edge of awareness. It is working without your help. It does not need your attention to do its most important work. You have never had to ask it to. Night after night, without instruction, it returns to its quiet labor, tending to you in the dark. The dream you had last night may already be gone entirely. Not lost, transformed. The fear it held has softened. The connection it made has strengthened a neural pathway you will use tomorrow without knowing it was laid in the dark. The brain is very quiet about the things it does for you. It does not announce the repairs it made, the emotions it smoothed, the memories it sorted. It simply hands you the morning, a little lighter than the night before. There is a kind of trust required to sleep well, a willingness to release the day, to stop managing your thoughts and let the brain take over. The brain is extraordinarily capable of managing itself during sleep. It does not need your supervision or your anxiety. It does not need you to solve anything. It only needs you to be still enough to let it work. It has been doing this work for a very long time, far longer than any worry you carried to bed tonight. Dreams often feel urgent while you are inside them. Every dream has the texture of something that matters completely. But the brain knows which things to carry forward and which to gently release. The urgency of the dream does not have to travel into waking with you. The brain resolves what it needs to resolve. It sets down what it no longer requires. The morning is lighter for everything. The night quietly decided not to keep. The sleep that feels the deepest. The kind where you wake not knowing how much time has passed, is often the most restorative. That completeness, that sense of having been genuinely elsewhere, is the body's experience of sleep doing exactly what it needs to do. The absence of memory is sometimes the clearest mark of perfect rest. Nothing was held on to. Nothing needed to be. The body and the brain both arrived at morning, and that arrival was enough. Many people feel a quiet grief about their forgotten dreams, a sense that something beautiful or important slipped away while they were not watching. This feeling is worth acknowledging honestly. Dreams can carry real meaning and real beauty. But the brain that let them go was not careless or indifferent. It was tending to what you needed most, the deep restoration that only sleep provides. The forgetting was part of the gift. The limbic system, the brain's emotional core, is deeply involved in dreaming and does not rest during sleep. It processes, organizes, and gradually quiets the emotional material of the day. By morning, the same things that felt urgent or overwhelming may feel more manageable, more distant, more workable. That shift happens in the night. Most of it happens in dreams you will not remember. The work is done regardless of whether you carry any evidence of it forward. Every night, in the quiet dark, your brain reviews what it has learned. It strengthens what matters. It releases what no longer serves you. It finds patterns in the noise of the day and weaves them carefully into the larger story of who you are gradually becoming. You are always becoming. The night is where much of the most important part of that becoming happens. Quietly. Without witnesses, without fanfare, in the private dark. There is something deeply peaceful in knowing that the forgetting is purposeful, that the dream did not vanish because it didn't matter, but because its work was done and it was no longer needed. The brain that erases the dream is the same brain that used the dream. Both acts are part of the same quiet. careful, ancient process. The erasure is not loss. It is completion. The space between your last waking thought and your first sleeping one is smaller than it appears. The brain moves fluidly between these two states, carrying some things forward and gently setting others down. You do not need to manage this transition. You never have. It is older than any instinct you carry. The sleeping brain knows the way across that threshold. It has always known. It has never once needed your help to find it. Even in deep, dreamless sleep, the delta sleep, from which almost no one brings back any memory, the brain is actively consolidating, repairing, and maintaining. The silence of that state is not absence. It is full of quiet work. The kind of work that feels like nothing from the inside and is everything from the outside. The darkest, most unreachable sleep may be the most generous sleep of all. The body rests differently than the mind during sleep. The muscles release their held tension. The heart slows. The breath deepens and becomes automatic, no longer requiring any decision. Your temperature drops slightly as the night deepens, inviting the slower, darker stages of sleep. This is the body participating in the same process the brain is managing, both descending together into the restoration that neither can accomplish alone. Rest is whole body work. The dreams you do remember, however briefly, carry something real. An emotion, a question, sometimes a clarity that feels borrowed from a deeper and quieter place. The ones you cannot hold on to may have given you those things too, in ways you will never be able to trace. Memory is just one form of influence. The dream that is forgotten may still have changed you, may have already changed you, in the hours before you woke. There are nights when sleep comes easily, and nights when it does not. Both are part of the rhythm. The brain that struggles to sleep on one night is often the brain that dives deep on the next, compensating, catching up, completing what was deferred. The body has a long memory for what it needs. It is patient and persistent. Some dreams feel like they contain something true, something larger than what could be generated by the day's residue alone. Whether that feeling means anything beyond the brain's extraordinary capacity for synthesis is a question science cannot yet answer. But the feeling itself is real. The sense that the sleeping mind touched something significant. That impression doesn't require explanation to be honored. The practice of simply acknowledging your dreams, even imperfectly, even incompletely, as you lie in the first quiet moments after waking, seems to matter in ways that are hard to measure. Not to hold on to them, not to analyze them, just to recognize that the sleeping mind worked through the night, that something was built and released in the dark, that the night was not empty, that you were tended to while you slept. Your brain will dream again tonight. Whatever remains unresolved, unprocessed, or unintegrated from this day will be taken up quietly in the hours ahead and worked on. You do not have to do anything to make this happen. You do not have to prepare or plan or arrange anything at all. You only have to sleep. The rest, every bit of the rest, is handled. Sleep is one of the most generous things you can give yourself. The time it takes is returned many times over, in clearer thinking, steadier emotion, better memory, more resilient health. And within that time, in the dreaming hours, the brain gives itself the particular gift of freedom, to wander, to associate, to build without purpose, to feel without consequence, to practice without cost. The forgotten dream is not a failure of the night. It is a sign of the night's completion. The brain has done what it came to do. The emotional residue has been metabolized. The memories have been sorted. The synapses have been maintained. The stage is set for tomorrow. The forgetting is not what the night left behind. It is what the night accomplished. Your brain doesn't fail when it forgets your dreams. It is doing exactly what sleep is designed to do. The clean morning, the sense of having genuinely rested, of having been somewhere and returned, is the sign of the work completed. Not lost. Completed. The dream dissolved back into you, and you are quietly, imperceptibly, gently different for it. That difference is the only receipt the sleeping brain will ever offer. The light is softer now. The thinking has quieted to almost nothing. The questions have been held long enough and can finally rest. What remains is only this: the steady, unhurried rhythm of breath, the comfortable weight of the body, the patient and welcoming dark. Sleep knows where it is going. It has always known. It will find you now, the way it always does, the way it always has. Whatever worry came with you into this night, let it be held now by something older and more capable than thought. The sleeping brain has managed far more difficult things than tonight's concerns. It will manage them again, not by solving them, by softening around them, by giving them the only treatment that sometimes works: time and darkness and rest. You are not required to figure anything out tonight. Not one thing. The brain will take what it needs from this day and do its careful work without your assistance or your awareness. Tomorrow, something will be quietly different. Not dramatically, not obviously, but genuinely. A little easier, a little clearer, a little more settled than it was. The work of the night, transferred softly and completely into the morning. The stars are still turning. The ocean is still breathing. The trees are standing in their ancient silence. Roots still moving through the dark earth at the speed that earth moves. Imperceptibly, but always, and without ceasing. You are resting inside a world that does not stop for sleep. But you are allowed to stop. You have always been allowed to stop. You are allowed to stop right now. Your brain doesn't fail when it forgets your dream. It is doing exactly what sleep is designed to do. The dream was lived. The work was done. The forgetting is the proof. What you carry into the morning, the quiet, the ease, the sense of having been held by something you cannot quite name, that is the dream, transformed. That is the night, completed. That is sleep, doing exactly, beautifully, what it was built to do. And so our quiet exploration of dream forgetting comes to its gentle close. We traveled from the narrow window before the chemistry shifts and the dream dissolves, through the ancient brainstem structures that initiate REM sleep, and the synaptic pruning the brain performs by design. We discovered that the hippocampus consolidates the day's memories, while norepinephrine drops, so the dreaming brain can roam without recording. The dream that dissolved was not lost. It was used, and we are quietly different for it. The sleeping brain reminds us that not all important work leaves a trace. Much of what repairs and renews us happens in silence, without our awareness, without our help. The forgetting is not failure. It is the signature of the gift. In these final minutes, take the deepest breath you can, as deep as possible. Think about the unity of every sleeper, across every night in human history. All the dreams that were built and dissolved, all the mornings that arrived softer for the work the night had done. You are part of that long, unbroken current. Let your entire being dissolve into the darkness that holds all dreams, the quiet dark that receives everything and asks for nothing back. Prepare for deep sleep. No boundaries left. Only peace. Perhaps this gentle exploration of why we forget our dreams brought you a kind of rest tonight. Not just in the body, but in the mind that was asking. A soft like or subscribe helps another sleepless mind find its way here too. One quiet night, one sleepy soul at a time. But there's no need to do anything now. Nothing at all. You've traveled far tonight, through chemistry and brainstems and the ancient architecture of the sleeping mind. You can allow these thoughts of dreams to fade now, like the last image dissolving at dawn, the color still present for a moment, and then, gently, completely, gone, leaving only the warm, unhurried calm behind. Let your breathing deepen. Let your body feel heavier, as if the quiet weight of all that forgetting is settling around you, releasing you from the need to hold anything. Held by the earth itself now, quietly, completely. If sleep comes, let it carry you the way a dream does, not by arriving, but by already being there, into a realm where time and weight no longer matter. If your eyes are still open, the next video is waiting for you, ready to continue the journey. But if they're closed, stay there. Stay in the darkness that feels safe and warm. Tomorrow, the dreaming will begin again. The work that requires your absence will wait patiently for you to return. But tonight belongs to stillness. Gentle mind. Rest well. The dream that dissolved was not taken from you. It became you. Good night.